Okay, so today I'm going to do a little bit of a vlog thing. It's going to be kind of all over the place, so stay tuned. There might be something, I'm pretty sure there's going to be something everybody will enjoy in this video. So today I got a guy coming over to, he said buy this. It's he didn't say he was going to come look at it. So if it's good working order, that he would buy it. So he's supposed to be here in a couple hours, hour and a half or so. So I came out and did some final touches to it that was just kind of nagging me. I did some yesterday also, and just a little detail work. So what I did that you haven't seen on video, this is the old carburetor to this thing. I bought an aftermarket, and one of the things aftermarket has a problem with is they make these holes in the choke too big. There's 3 holes there, and that lower right one right there is too big. So when you choke it, it doesn't choke. It just, air goes right through it. So I took the flapper valve off of this one, off the old one, put it into the new one. This is the new flapper valve, and it did better. It starts a lot easier now. Well, the problem is the choke, the flapper, was just a skitch too big. It's just a little bit too big, and so every now and then when you would push the choke lever up, it would get stuck in the closed position. So I came out here with a file this morning. I took this out. You can just, all you got to do to take this out is just pull it with a pair of pliers. It's pretty tough, but you can pull it, and there's some clips, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, that hold it into a plastic bar there. It's just a little slit in the bar, and you just pull it out. So I took a file and I filed around the edges around it, and so then it stopped sticking. But then I noticed that the aftermarket goes past the choking point, so it would actually spin too far. So this side over here would come out. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. So all I had to do there was adjust the cable. I loosened this up, I put it in choke, all the way in choke, and then I adjusted the cable so when it would flatten out like that. So it wasn't hard. You just unscrew this bolt a little bit, move the cable down in this case, and that brought the choke back to where it was supposed to be. Simple little fix. Just a little minor detail work that I wanted to get straightened up. You know, I'm really going to miss this lawnmower. I don't want to sell it. I mean, I don't know what I would ever do with it, but I don't want to sell it. When he contacted me yesterday, I was like, oh, not that one. Can we sell this one? I did get someone asked me if I'd take a certain price, so it was way too low, so I counter offered. We'll see where it goes. This was at midnight, so my rating for response time dropped, and I don't think that's fair. I was in bed. How can I respond when it's at midnight? So the other day I welded, I'm not going to get in the truck, this back on up there. You may be able to see that it's a different color. It's got primer on it, and I welded it. So, well, you will get in the truck. I'll just show you what I did. It had fallen off. I told you in that video that it had fallen off. I tried to pull a lawnmower up here, and it got hung up with the come along. So I did a little bit of testing. It can hold me. I'm standing on it now. It holds me as though, you know, I don't know, maybe 170, 180 pounds, probably 170 pounds. You know, it's not a lot of weight, but that's not terrible. You don't need it to hold a lot of weight. I mean, I hope it will hold enough to be able to pull lawnmowers up. We'll find out today. I got to go and look at a lawnmower today. I suspect it's going to be stronger than this one, though. I may end up having to weld this one eventually. So I'm going to go look at another John Deere. We'll see. It's been sitting out in the field for a while. It's rusted. It'll be another kind of a restoration. It's a 2006, not near as old as this one. My fingers are crossed the mower isn't locked up, or the motor. So I wanted to talk. That video actually did pretty good. The welding video. I welded that back on. Like, I don't know if I said that. I welded that back on, and that video did pretty good. And it kind of made me think, why is this video doing good? I didn't think it would. And then I thought, well, maybe the viewers think this is something that can happen to anybody, and anybody may need to fix something like this. Instead of taking a mechanic, car dealer. Now, I always got that one genius in my comment section who thinks, and he's always got a different name, by the way. It's strange how that happens. So he always thinks I'm too stupid to think of the simple solutions, and I always go for the complicated stuff because I'm just too stupid to figure it out. He said, just put an I bolt in here. Of course, he spelled I wrong. It's supposed to be E-Y-E, not I. So he said, just put an I bolt in there. Okay, genius. So how do you get a nut onto the other side? About halfway, well, I don't know, probably right here. You can't get your hand past. They've got a piece of metal there. So I would literally have to cut out something so I could hold the bolt there. And if I was going to use an I bolt, why not use a U joint, a U bolt? So, what's wrong with welding it? I know what's wrong. He doesn't know how to do it, so therefore, it's a dumb idea. I can only do things that he knows how to do because it's just not realistic for everybody to do this. Well, first of all, I'm not a welder. I've said that many times. And you can see it in my videos. I explain it all the time. I'm not a welder. This is me trying to learn something on YouTube so my audience can see that you can do these things. And what if it had failed? It's no big deal. I mean, it was an experiment to see if I could do it. I was going to use JB Weld if this didn't work. So it's not like I didn't have a backup plan or, use an eye bolt with an eye. Whatever the case is, I could have done something to repair this. Or I could have just done nothing and not worried about it at all. So, it got me to thinking. I wonder why people find that video interesting. Is it because they don't know how to weld, or they would like to learn how to weld? Well, I tell you, welders are not expensive. I wish I'd have learned this thought years ago. I had no idea, but they improved the technology. Go figure, Wow, you mean they've come out something better than the Lincoln welder? And that's what Dad had, was a Lincoln welder. It looks like a tombstone. It's huge. It runs on coils. Well, now they have inverter welders. So like my inverter generator. So they make them a lot smaller, very portable. I mean, this one I have, you've seen in previous videos, is about the size, a little smaller than a toaster. And you plug it into the wall. Now, you can buy fancier ones and different things, but this one was $50. And like I said in a video when I bought it, I can spend $50 at Dollar General and not have anything when I leave. So $50 for a welder, that's not terrible. Now, of course, you have to get the helmet, and the helmet was, I think, $30. So now I'm up to $80. And it's $10 to $50, well, about probably $10 to $20 for welding sticks, depending on what you get. The ones I normally get is $10, and there's one that's a little bit more expensive that I have a package of that was $20, and I realized I don't even like those. So now, learning how to weld really isn't that complicated as far as the knowledge on how to weld. Now, as far as the practice on how to weld, completely different. I feel like I've got all the knowledge I need to weld with a stick welder. Now, I'm not talking about TIG welders and MIG welders and all that jazz. I'm talking about stick welders. Stick welders you can use in the wind. Apparently, those other welders you have to use inside the shop. You gotta shut off all the fans, and it's I guess kind of picky on its environment. But the stick welders, they're portable. You can take them with you. You can take them with a generator. So $50, $30 for the helmet, and $10 for welding sticks. And then you get on YouTube and you learn the differences between welding sticks. Now, all the experts have a different opinion, but there's one YouTuber that I watched, and he's talking to beginners. He's an instructor, so that's what he teaches classes. So he teaches from the ground up. He's got this little chart. Here's the chart actually, and this is his chart, not mine. And I'll put his name here if I can find it. So he said that if you use 60-13, that's the welding stick. 60 stands for 60,000 pounds, I think. And the 1, I believe, means you can go vertical or horizontal, and I forget what the 3 is. It doesn't matter. He said, for beginners, this is the best stick to use. So, that's what I bought initially. And then there's 6011, which is for thicker metals. And the nice thing about 6011 and 6013 is you don't have to have your surface very clean. Now, then there's the difference between thicknesses of metals that you're getting ready to weld. And he uses millimeters, so it was just easier for me to use millimeters. And you can get a little caliper that goes from inches to millimeters. I bought myself a caliper, actually, a little battery operated digital caliper. And so I just measured everything in millimeters because that's what he said. Of course, you can do it in inches, but it's in fractions, so it was just easier for me to do it in millimeters. So he said, I think 2 millimeters, don't quote me, it's on that chart, of 3/32. He said use the stick size 3/32 for 2 millimeters or above. But if it's below 2 millimeters, use 1/64. So the 1/64 is much smaller, half the size of a 3/32. So the 3/32 has been working great for me. I've been doing everything with the 3/32, and you use different amperages. And when you dial in your amperage, 3/32 can use, I think, 50 to 90 amps. So the thinner the metal, the less amps you use. Thicker the metal, the more amps you use. Then if you get into heavier metals, 1/8 stick size, and then you can get up to higher amps. I'll never get anything that big. It's just I don't even have those sticks. But I thought thinner metals, I better get the 1/16. So I got the 1/16, and that means you can turn down the amperage from, I think, 20 to 40 amps. Now the thing about amperage is you want to make sure you got enough amps that you can strike an arc. The most difficult thing about the welding with a stick is striking the arc. And watch YouTube videos is the best thing to do to learn how to strike an arc. So, well, I was using the bigger size, the 3/32, and I'm striking arcs really well. I'm really getting good at it. Well, when I welded this, I went down to the smaller 1/64 stick, and I dropped my amps down because this is thinner metal, and I didn't want to burn a hole through it. More amps means you can burn the hole, and I didn't want to burn the hole, so I went down to the smaller stick. And I could not strike an arc. That was what my trouble was in that video. I even wrote a note in the video saying, I'm sticking. So what happens is your stick literally sticks to the metal because it won't strike an arc. So I checked my amps. Well, initially I learned that my foot knocked the meter, the dial on my welder, down to 14. So I had it at 40 and it knocked it down to 14. So I turned it back up and it got slightly better, but not good enough. So I said, you know what, I know I'm okay with the bigger welding stick. If I blow a hole, if I use the bigger welding stick and I blow a hole in this, it's no big deal. I'll just go back down to the smaller stick and I'll fix the hole. You can do that, you can fix the hole. It takes a little bit of patience. And again, watch YouTube videos and you'll learn how to do it. You fix the hole and then you'll just use it. So I was experimenting. And I used the bigger stick, the 3/32, and I welded it. I didn't stick anymore. I was having a really good time at it, easy. So, I'm learning. Now, I watch this one guy, and he welds, he has a business, he's got a truck, and he travels and welds all kinds of things, fences and pipes, and just all kinds of things. And he's kind of the John Wayne type of welder. Just however he feels like it's working is what he goes with. He doesn't go with his charts and millimeters. He doesn't measure the metal. He just kind of says, well, I guess that's a 7018, which is another welding stick, but I'm not going to use that because it's harder to strike. All the experts use a 7018 and the amateurs use a 6013. So if you're going to do it, use a 6013 because I'm an amateur. You may be an amateur if you're going out and buying a welder. If you're having to listen to this and try to understand what I'm talking about, that means you want a 6013 welding stick. Don't get the 7018. So he's still, just kind of winging it, and he'll do a beat and he says, nope, don't like that one. He'll get another welding stick and try, yeah, that one's better, or he'll check the amps. Oh, nope, not deep enough. And so, he just kind of goes on the fly. Now he's a certified welder, and he's not using any charts or mathematical figures or anything. He's just, this is what I do. And I kind of like his style. It means that even the pros don't have, a scientific background when it comes to welding. You know, welders make welding out to be so complicated. The other thing about welding is slag. Slag is they put a flux around the welding stick. So you have a welding stick, it's steel, and then they put this flux around it. And the flux, I mean, I could tell you what they said it is. Flux keeps the environment away from the weld bead while you're welding, so it doesn't rust and corrode and do all these things while you're welding. The problem is that flux becomes slag. When it cools, it comes to the top of the weld bead and hangs out there. And you got to knock it off. That's why you see welders always beating on their weld and then brushing it off. They're taking off that flux, that slag. So the flux becomes slag, and you want to remove that. If you weld over that slag, then you get what's called inclusions. It means you get dirt in your weld. You get slag in your weld. And that slag is preventing the welded metal to adhere or stick or burn into the metal. So when you're welding, it literally takes extra metal from the welding stick and binds it with the melted metal that it just created, the truck bed. So there's not a lot of science to it. You just got to get practiced at it, and that's what they all say: practice, 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 practice. Now, of course, I'm trying to get to the level of these guys where they just run this smooth little bead. What I noticed though is in these videos, they've always got a perfect surface. They got one steel plate, and then they lay another steel plate up, and they weld a bead, and it's like, oh, that's great. But then you come out here and you got this broken thing, and there's no room, and it's small, and you got two different sizes pieces of metal. They never show that in a video. So, yeah, I even asked one of the welders, hey, can you weld a mower deck, broken mower deck, with a stick welder? He never replied. So, you know, that's the reality. So I may never get to the point where I have this beautiful weld bead. I got this, you know, this clumpy here and a thin here. But the thing is it's holding. If nothing else, if I want to strap something in, it's going to hold. It's not going to break. You know, 170 pounds. That's quite a bit of weight. So I think if you are interested in that video I made where I repaired this, it's not a lot of money. I never tell people how to spend their money, but in this case, it's under $100. You know, you might be at $100 with the welding sticks and the helmet and the welder. And you could be welding. You could be taking two pieces of metal and just checking it out, figuring it out, watching videos, learning. It's kind of exciting if you're like me. So if you click this up next box, it'll take you to that video where I was working on this. So hope I can inspire you to give it a try. Sing of your dreams. Thanks for watching.